Hello and welcome everyone to another session from Will to Play. I'm Will Harris, your host. Today I am talking to you. We are having a grandiose discussion about Revit Management. Of course, we call this the BIM Management Survival Skills, but it's okay. It's Revit Management Training. Today we are talking about standard families, as in how do we deal with the components that we load into the Revit project. These are all standard families. So there's a very, very clear distinction between standard families and system families. I'm just going to go ahead and throw those terms out there right now before we even get into this presentation. Standard family: door, window, desk. Everything that you are going to create in the family editor is considered a standard family. System family: walls, roofs, floors, text, labels, dimensions. All of these are created in where? The project itself. They're controlled by the project. They're held by the project. Those are called system families. All right? So we are talking about standard families. Yes, we do talk about system families later on and what to do with them and how to organize and all those fun things. But today we are talking about not system families, but standard families. Even I get them messed up every once in a while. Here's our wonderful topics: where you should save them, what you should do in terms of the audit process. Audit process for me is a check. You know, we're going to check the family. We're going to audit the family. Is what they say is in the family, is that really there? What the family is supposed to do, does it really do that? Is the naming convention of the family done? Audit process. And then some best practices for creating families. Talk about that and how to go through some of those wonderful concepts. By the way, if you haven't noticed, the presentation outline is up on the website. If you've logged in and gone into there, you've got the presentation outline ready to go. Pull down, ready to rock and roll. There's also another resource there that is the family content folder location. It's a little different than the resource than the presentation outline. It's more of a specific, oh, here is the idea of where you should put families, and we'll get into that document as well. So here's our, of course, the content folders. We are going to talk about that, and this is a side subject about the file locations. I'll talk about all of that in whenever we get through that document. So the creation, modify, and create new types. These are the family itself. You can do one of three things to a family. You can create a family, you can modify a family file itself, or you can modify the type information. Okay? And then we are also going to talk about where these files are, like how to get access to them a little easier. But first, let's talk about who has access to do one of these three things: the creation of the family, the modification of the family, and the creation of new types. By creation of the family, of course, I mean that when I am in my wonderful Revit project, and it's coming up right now, and as you can see, I have a family. Okay, so we're talking about families here. One of the times I'm talking about, the first one is, who has access to go file new? Family. Who has the right to do that? Do you? Does everyone? And what happens whenever I need to create a new family file? So this is one thing that needs to be addressed, right? If we looked at session 1, what was session 1 of this whole series? The book for your user. So somewhere in the book for your user, you need to address three points here: access to creation of brand new family, modification of family, and boom boom, modification of family types. Okay, this is creation of new family. See that? Let's say I'm live in a project. Yay, I have a project here, and I edit the family from this project. Who has the right to do that? Who has the right to click on this button and modify it? Everybody does, by the way. anyone can do that. Anyone can click on a family, right-click on a family or select a family and then edit the family. There is nothing in Revit that will keep you from doing this. Now I have the family file open. I can modify the family file, delete everything, because I'm that Joe somebody in the office that rips up my standards, don't follow his practices. We all have that person. Hopefully not, but most people have this person in their office where they modify stuff that they shouldn't be. And if I do that, right, I've deleted the family, or I've deleted all of the components of the family, remove constraints, load that family back in to the project. Boom, the project now is modified, updated, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work the way it was supposed to. So who has access to the modification of the family that is in the project? And then last but not least, who has access to, not really necessarily, you know, the family itself, the family file, we also have the type information as well. I'm going to close down the family file, no. But instead, now, who has access to modifying the type information of that family? So if I'm going to change the type information, boom, who has access to do this? Edit new and then modify this stuff. That's the real question. I believe everybody should. No. Some people should. Probably. As far as type information goes, where would we lock this down anyway? How would we lock all of these down? Anyone? We're all unmuted, so or everybody except for Lewis.
Privileges to the folder on the server.
Okay, so we have privileges to the folder on the server. That locks it down, what? That locks down after I edit the family and save it to a location. That locks down this ability to save stuff. If I right-click on the folder and say I can't modify that. But who has access to modifying the family and keeping the family from being overwritten in the project? Because I can modify this family, not save it, load it back into the project, and I've deleted all of the model geometry of my family. And I never touched the Windows.
You do it in a works.
Yep, the work set. So you do it from the work set. Yep. I showed everybody this last week, right? We know about the work sets and how to lock it all down on the work set. So that is going to control what? Right? This should be almost a review, but not quite. As far as the creation of the family, at some point, you don't ever need to save the family. You can create the family and load it in. But it's always going to have family 1, family 2, family 3, 4, 5, etc., etc., etc. But once you save it to a location, now you've got a family file name. So who has access to that creation and that original save of the family that's going to give it the file name and the location and all that stuff? That is going to be what? An access to the folder itself, access to a folder location. Modification of the family live in a project. The only way to lock it down is to do what I was showing you last week within the work sets. Same thing with the new type creation. And I would highly suggest not locking down type creation. It's very frustrating. There's also another side concept here. I need to make families on the fly. You can't lock me out of all of my family creation. If I'm a Revit user and I know half of Revit, or I can understand if I'm in a project and I'm live, at some point I'm going to have to do one of the following things: modify a family or create a brand new family. By modify, I can either modify the family file or modify the type. So there has to be the ability for your user to get access to the standard family, as in your company standards, and then also be able to modify that for each individual project, but not modify the company standard family files. So we are going to talk about that. And this is a point that most people, we find it eventually